сделаю свой доклад по тематике, как вообще людям...
How people can resist or counteract illegal actions by the system. When people's rights and freedoms are taken away completely, which is unacceptable. I think that the Mahatma Gandhi system, satyagraha, is very suitable. Nonviolent resistance or ignoring illegal laws, decrees, and actions by the system. And here's the basic logic. It's not against, but through. That is, strong people don't fight the system. They understand the rules of the game, use laws, act through procedures, and create publicity. In other words, people should become public, declare that they don't like something, or that their rights and freedoms are being violated. Instead of being afraid or hiding, they should express themselves through social media. This is a public medium. If, for example, chaos breaks out in city and at least half or even a third of the citizens start filming what is happening on their social media accounts, posting it, and sharing it, then the officials who are causing this chaos will simply be unable to continue doing so. Because their lawlessness is highlighted, and thus they cannot continue such illegal actions. Then here it is, people understand the rules of the game. You must agree, when we play some games, poker, preference, some board games or computer games, people learn the rules. When people live in society, in Russia, Ukraine, Kyrgyzstan, America, Europe, most people do not study the rules of the game. The basic rule is the constitution of the country in which you live. The constitution, the civil code, and the criminal code are all things that need to be studied. Most people don't study them, don't understand them, and don't want to understand them. That's why this point is important. The basic logic is not against, but through. Strong people don't fight within the system. They understand the rules. That is, they understand the rules. They use the laws. This principle stems from the fact that if you understand the rules, you already start using these laws. And you can only use the laws when you understand them, understand the logic of the laws, understand how to apply them. That is, you need to take the time and study the legislation a little. I can tell you that if you live in any country, it is important to study the basic law, the constitution of the country you live in, the civil code. Because all interactions between citizens, let's not call them citizens now, but individuals and so on, are governed by this code. In other words, this civil code provides a framework for the interaction between citizens, government agencies, and various officials. This is what we need to understand: the Constitution, the Civil Code, the Criminal Code, and how the security forces, police, and militia operate in your country. We need to know how government agencies, officials, and the government apparatus function, as well as how laws are passed. So, in order to understand that this law, for example, is illegal, we need to understand that laws are effects, and for 3 days, as far as I remember. We have the right to protest this law, and people. Imagine if a third of the people protested. The government would post on social media that they are against, for example, the destruction of dogs or the registry of vaccinated animals, or the registry of pets, on a large scale. Imagine, and people put it on social networks. How do you think the authorities of men react to this? Well, there is such a concept that in Roman law, if a Klybish begins to sing about some problem, well, to sing about it, to talk about it, to say that against, then the authorities of men must listen to it. That is, inevitably, according to the legislation, the authorities of men must listen to it. There is such a concept that they won't listen to us. But the fact is that no matter how much the system is in disarray, there are certain rules in place. The system is designed to operate according to specific patterns. If the bureaucratic apparatus itself begins to violate these patterns, the system collapses. There are always certain observers in the system who make sure that these rules are followed, and the small officials who start doing something are simply removed or purged. As it is correctly said, this is because they are disrupting the integrity of the system, which is dangerous. In other words, there must be a balance between the managed, the manager, the middle management, and the top management. Everything must work properly. This is what makes the system work. Farther, human rights laws. That's what I tell people all the time. This is to study public international law, the very first one, and, probably, the main thing. Next, I assure you, I started studying international law. Then it becomes like a hobby. That's interesting. You're watching, and you're getting more and more interested. It's like someone watching, say, football or a comedy club. And you're wondering what new legislation is, what else is in international law. And you start studying. And the first thing I would recommend is a Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is the first one. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as they say, is advisory in nature. But there are also tricks and traps in there. How to apply these principles to yourself. The 30 points of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And then there is the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and the Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. These are the 3 documents that you need to know. Well, at least to know the structure, to understand what article you can rely on. In principle, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was the base or body, yes, such a skeleton of the Constitution. Any constitution, in principle, it is based on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Publicity. The system is not afraid of you. The system is afraid of publicity. What I said earlier. Publicity. Don't be afraid to officially declare your rights. Don't be afraid to say it officially, like I did when I expressed my will that I don't cooperate with the private commercial company of the WHO. I don't support medical experiments. All the vaccinations, experiments, and restrictions don't concern me. I expressed my will on my social media platforms, so it doesn't affect me. I don't interact with them. Don't be afraid to express your will in this way. Your relatives and friends may say you're a fool or a sectarian. I haven't. Most people think I'm a fool. But when people were being grabbed for so-called meat in the DPR Donetsk People's Republic, I should say, we helped out there. The mates helped with documentation, helped people defend themselves. And for my family, I'm a fool, a simpleton, and an incomprehensible sectarian. But the people I helped are still my friends. Then we continue with publicity. I repeat, publicity. The system is not afraid of you, but it is afraid of publicity, tools, social media, the media, and collective appeals. In other words, use your social media, use the media, newspapers, newspaper appeals, TV channels, and collective appeals. Just get together as a team, go to the authorities, and complain. For example, if you're being pressured by the system and you're thinking, how can I resist the system when it's so powerful? But there's an executive, let's say a manager at the Housing and Utilities Department, who's harassing the residents of building number 5. So, you gather with the residents and start harassing this manager. Write complaints, find out who's above him, and see who's in charge of this manager. Here is the supervisory authority, which there, write an appeal about his violations. Complaints about him, for more strict, to the police, to the prosecutor's office. Imagine, here is a house, let 100 people live in it, roughly speaking. 100 complaints come to this official. No matter how much he is covered, what kind of traction and connections he does not have. He will say, listen, dear, what have you done there? What is it? What are you doing? You are messing around. You are putting us in the slammer. We will be slapped. That is, believe me, you can say, no, it doesn't work, back and forth. But they will tell you anyway, because the system is afraid of publicity. That's the point. Fourth, it's about bringing people together. One person is weak, but a group is already powerful. That's what I always say, that you should work with your surroundings, your family, and your friends. If your relatives don't understand, look for friends who understand the essence of the system, who understand at least the basics of human rights protection, who are interested in people's rights and freedoms, and who at least study the law, even at an elementary level, including the Constitution, Civil Code, Criminal Code, and international law. You should also take people like this, and there should be a certain association. This is already a force. Imagine that even if you have 10 people like this, they come to terrorize you, but you're all well versed. They are very afraid of the system, and they are afraid of human rights activists because they can mess with anyone's head. The police officer, the commandant, and the prosecutor. As they say, there's a saying that arguing with a lawyer is like trying to burn fire, drown water, catch the wind, and so on. Therefore, educate yourself and come together. Create initiative groups, chat rooms, and social associations. Public associations, inside them you make chats, where you learn, communicate, support, local, around the world, and so on. Nonviolent pressure, satyagraha, back from what I started, Mahatma Gandhi. Methods of ignoring unfair demands. Remember what happened when cows in Siberia began to destroy, take away from people? Well, create lawlessness. It's just lawlessness. In America, if you walked into a private yard, those pharmacists, those veterinarians, they would have been shot, just shot in the head with a shotgun and taken out. And that's it. If you walked into my private property, you're out of here. I'll shoot you and send you to the dump. We're in complete chaos. And it turns out that people have started ignoring this murder, ignoring it. And it worked. Many people say it doesn't work. It does work. They've seen the power of people coming together, people ignoring. They've suffered losses anyway. Next, the refusal to participate. Teachers and doctors, individuals, as I call them because they are weak-willed, they say, but we can't, we were forced, we can't do anything else. I say, how can you not do this? So they'll tell you to shoot students or vaccinate them, and you'll do it, right? They can't, we can't, I'm a doctor. And what? Especially if you're a doctor or a teacher, you shouldn't participate in these criminal activities. Refusing to participate in criminal activities, boycotting. Well, there was a good demonstration about the world making. Peaceful protests. Well, peaceful protests have been banned in many corporate countries. Organize peaceful protests and flash mobs on social media to spread the information. If they block social networks, so send out SMS messages to spread the information. And it's important to stay within the law. There's a specific law, so don't break it. Don't make any revolutions, so people don't get killed, as it's not necessary. That's my brief presentation on satyagraha, nonviolent resistance, and how people can counteract everything. And most importantly, create your own system. A system of a new, healthy, and conscious society. For real people, for people who live on Earth. Not individuals, not any legal entities. A new world. Without moneylenders, without loans, without installments, without any kind of bondage, without any kind of interest rates, or anything else. In short, without all of it. A conscious world.